All right, we are here with Super Bowl winning head coach Brian Billick. Brian, first of all, you have been like making the rounds, Radio Row, since early morning. I saw you here early morning. How you feeling?
I'm ready to be done. I'm worn out. I've said about everything I could say, but it's great. I enjoy it. It's great to feel the energy and to interact with everybody. It's amazing, this setting where everybody's so focused on this great game, got a great matchup, a lot of energy about it. It's going to be a great game, so it's great.
And I feel like maybe for you getting through this day, signal relief, does that come into
That's
in
the place
handy?
to go. People need to check this out. I get a lot of people approach me about a lot of things.
Okay.
Signal relief, this is an amazing product. You know, pro players, college, everybody. You go into a pro training room, there's hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment, STEM machines, Theraguns, hydropools, whirlpools, all to help you deal with that, cold tubs, to deal with that prohibitive pain so that you can get back on the field and work through the pain. That's really where the therapy comes from, working the joints and the muscle. Signal Relief, this is the real deal. Go to signalrelief.com. It's military grade. It blocks electrical signals. Pain is nothing more than an electrical signal in your body.
Okay.
You put this thing I love about it's reusable, very cost effective. You put it where you need it. I play 18 holes of golf, goes to my lower back. I come out of the pool 3 days a week, my shoulder, my upper back. If I play racquetball or tennis, my elbow,
good for you.
It goes up here. You put it where you need it to block that pain, to let you deal with that, what I call prohibitive pain. You put it between the pain and the brain. That allows you then to get that extra work, to work the muscles and the joints, to get you back in the game. It's the real deal.
I can tell that you've been working through this all day long.
It's the real deal.
You're on top
really
of
is.
it. All right, I'm going to talk to you about some sort of coach dynamics, because the Eagles going through some staff turnover. It has gone from like Nick Sirianni's staff, the guys that he sort of came up with in the business, to now sort of like an arranged marriage, right? You're bringing in Vic Fangio and his crew on defense. You're bringing Kellen more on offense, who he has not worked with. In your history, both as a coordinator and as a head coach, how does that work, and what are the complicated dynamics of that when it is not just sort of your guys in the building?
Well, and you go through that change all the time, both in a positive, negative way. You get a coordinator that gets a head coaching job, so now you've got to fill in and make that change.
Which happened to them last year.
It can be very energizing. It can be a fresh start for the team. It can be very positive. Vic Fangio worked with me in Baltimore, great coach. He'll do a great job. The key is in the transition is you have to make sure, and the players have to understand that this is great and this is what we're going to do, but this is the guy still in charge. If that dynamic changes at all, if they question that at all, then you got no chance. And so it's very important to Coach Sirianni that at the end of the day, management, the staff, the players understand this is great, this can make us better, but this is the guy still in charge.
And I think that is a worry from the outside looking in, because there's a question asked to him at the end of the season press conference. If you're not in charge of the offense, you're hiring a new defensive coordinator, what would you say you do here, basically? What are, like, as the manager, what are sort of his, like, number one priorities in terms of making sure that everybody understands that?
Well, I've always said if I were ever to go back into coaching, I would do a couple things. First, I put together the best staff I could, and I was pretty good at that. 8 of my guys went on to become head coaches. Put in a good structure, which is important, but at the end of the day, everybody's doing the same thing, okay? Number one job, ceaseless every day, push my players toward the direction of the coaches. Now, you got to make sure the coaches are unified in where they're going, that unified vision, structure of what you're doing, working together. But it really is, as the head coach, and it's a daily process of pushing your players toward the leadership of your coaches.
And then how important for a head coach is the job of managing the relationship upwards with the owner?
It's an important part of the dynamic. If it's something you really have to manage, you got a problem.
Okay.
Because you look at the organizations that are consistently successful, ownership, general manager, head coach are all on the same page. Doesn't mean they always agree. Doesn't mean you can't, scrimmage around a little bit and dog cuss each other a little bit. That's how it works.
Sure, that's healthy.
But at the end of the day, it's Philly. How else are you going to operate? But at the end of the day, it's got to be a shared, unified vision for what it is we want to be and how we're going to do that. And if there's any disconnect that way, then you might as well make the changes now, because you got no chance.
Now let me take you through a couple what-ifs from history. Now, 99, the Eagles hire Andy Reid, and the reports at the time were that maybe they wanted to talk to you, but you were still there. You were still playing. do you think, is that one that in your mind is like, oh, if we had
That's
lost,
Mr.
could I have
Lurie,
been
in visiting with Mr. Lurie, he had told me about that, and it was that part, which would have been great. It would have been great to work with him and go to Philly. It worked out great. Obviously, Andy, a phenomenal coach.
And now he's here,
Yeah, but you're right. It's amazing how things twist and turn like that.
And then 2013, you interviewed with the team. What was that like?
Yeah, that was a little bit different. That one was portrayed a little bit differently than it actually went down.
Okay.
I think they had already decided what they wanted to do, and were looking to me to kind of validate that.
Okay.
But that's fine. They ended up with going with Chip Kelly, and that only turned out a certain way. But that's life in the NFL. That's how it works. And now obviously Howie and Mr. Lurie have to decide where they're going right now. They've been very successful up to this point, but it is their job now to make sure that they have that relationship, like they had with Andy, and they've had with Coach Peterson, obviously, and they've got to reestablish that if they want to kind of work their way out of it.
So what were those conversations like then, if they wanted you to sort of validate what they were looking for?
Well, it was that. It was just my perspective on it, and I think they had already made their mind up, which was fine. I was happy to give whatever input I could, and then they went that direction, and obviously it turned out the way it did.
And then as somebody who has, talked to other coaches around the league, how do you feel like Jeffrey is viewed as an owner?
Well, I think he's a great owner.
Yeah.
I think he's passionate about what he's doing. He's going to give you the resources you need, and you got to just you got to make sure that that you understand what that relationship going in with Howie and Mr. Lurie, and how that's going to be, because that relationship's going to be sustained.
Well, speaking of resources that you need, Signal Relief has you covered. Brian Billick, thank you so much. We
Sounds
appreciate
good.
We all silly like the mayor.